I'm James Howell, and this is 11th Heaven Critical Suplex, an extended look at Grasshopper Manufacture's 2007 game No More Heroes, written and directed by Suda51. Heaven 9. Bad Girl with Faust Kells from Thrilling Intent. As noted in the previous video, life circumstances will soon drain the time I have to dedicate to this video project, so I'm skipping a critical introduction. Instead, here's how much I like the cats in this game. A whole lot. Purists might say that hyperviolence and purr cats don't belong in the same game, but I'm a broader thinker. You can have your purist pets and splatterhouses, and I'll be over here with Metal Gear Rising, Tokyo Jungle, and yes, No More Heroes. In celebration of this sub-genre, I submit the following.
What? A cat? You frightened me for a second, kitty. Master!
And now let's step over to the interview mic to speak with this episode's guest. Joining me for this episode is Faust Kells, voice actor and all-purpose entertainer. He is one-fourth of the Third Wheel, the comedy group behind the D&D improv show Thrilling Intent on YouTube. You'll find a link to the show in the video description. His vocal talents also appear in audiobooks across the web, most recently on The Dungeoneers, a book by Jeffrey Russell available on Audible. Faust, welcome!
Hello! Thank you for having me here. And also, hello everybody in the audience!
Now, on the VA front of this game, I think it's really interesting that they have Quentin Flynn and Robin Atkin Downes as twins here. I know Quentin Flynn was really big when this came out, but I don't know, did you know Robin Atkin Downes then?
Yes. Not extremely familiar. But I do know that they being Quentin Flynn and Robin Atkin Downes, are, like, the same person. Or seem to be able to be the same person on command.
Yeah, when I first played this game, I actually went through my entire first playthrough thinking this was Quentin Flynn. And
yeah, it's tough to tell.
That was the first moment that I had ever encountered Robin Atkin Downes and like identified him for who he is. Was there like a moment when you kind of like realized like, oh, these are not the same person, these are two different people?
Probably the credits. It took me a while, and I'm not a very clever person, so I was like, throughout the entire game, it was sort of waffling back and forth between like, those different people? Is it?
I've got a list of the Japanese VAs here for comparison.
I'm actually curious about something kind of offhand really quick. Does it show the VA for Darkstar?
I think that is...
Norio Wakamoto?
Oh, do you mean the Japanese VA?
Yeah.
Tesho Genda.
Okay. Not Norio Wakamoto, darn. I took a shot in the dark. I was kind of feeling that that's very much the style of character he plays. He trills a lot, and he's just got a majestic, magnificent voice.
Sounds like a character type not too different from what Steve Bloom usually plays, which is everything, and he is Dark Star in this one.
Most things.
Forever.
Yeah.
I know Steve Bloom played. I think he played several characters in No More Heroes in Killer 7.
Did he? I would simultaneously be surprised that he did, but also not surprised. I guess surprised in the sense that it took me this long to realize it, but you know.
He's also starred in another Grasshopper game, Shadows of the Damned. He was Garcia, the main character.
Yeah.
You think you're bad, don't you?
A quick comment for the boss intro names. I'm so glad to see that they're using the Killer 7 voice modulator again.
Yes.
Like that has always been one of my favorite like vocal effects, like to this day.
Yes. It's really cool because like I don't know. Have you ever seen, heard, or seen the Japanese version of Killer 7 where it's unmodulated?
No.
Yeah, it's like in the Japanese version of Killer 7, all
Strange.
Yeah, all the voices are done actually in English, and yeah, they're done in English, and I think that they're actually kind of, if I recall right, I think they're actually modulated without the distortion, but it's not natural sounding English, so so they added that as kind of a quick localization workaround, which
interesting.
Kind of wound up being brilliant.
Yeah, I felt like it really added to the game. But isn't this where you fought Dr. Peace?
Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that's
Oh gosh. Now you just have a full team of baseball players getting run over by a motorcycle. It's very GTA.
It is. It's one of the sort of design goals, I think, for this game was that it was going to be a Japanese GTA-like. Did you ever get that feeling from this game that it?
I did. I definitely did.
Chomp.
Yeah. Specifically the Japanese take on it. While I understand that maybe they weren't going like exactly for GTA and they were probably drawing elements from it, it felt very much like there was a certain misunderstanding of GTA, and that misunderstanding led to this. Like it feels like they got it, but not quite.
Like what elements do you think they got?
Like there's the city, you can free roam around the city. You've got like your bike, you can like I don't know, it's hard for me to pin down. I'm honestly struggling trying to figure out like what they like, what's giving me that sense that they missed something.
One of the things that I feel that it's like, okay, there are certain elements of this game's aesthetic and its content that seem to really hit what I think of as being a kind of a characteristic note of Japanese design, and one of those being just like this irrepressible penchant for cuteness. And like, and one of the, in fact, the intro to this video is about the cats in this game. So
that's a perfect match.
Yeah, that infusion of cuteness, not as a side element, but as part of, you know, the whole feel of it, that sets it apart in a great way, I think.
The J voice actor for Dark Star, apparently he also did Optimus Prime and also Tigger in Winnie the Pooh.
Pretty similar characters overall.
I really think so. I think that in his own spin-off game, we're going to find out the thing that Dark Star's like best.
Yeah. I'm excited for that, you know? I'm really excited for that.
I can see a Tigger Wii game that has just this like sort of slinky peripheral attachment to the remote, just bounce it up and down so the Wii remote goes up and down.
Speedrunners use a long flight of stairs to get through the game. Quickly. Common tactic is to rent a room at the top of an apartment complex and live there.
One time somebody like pitched off the top of the roof and didn't make it. Speed ran life.
Oh no.
For Batgirl's design,
do you recognize any kind of like Japanese media influence on her design? I mean, I guess Lolita might actually be enough on.
I think that's caught on there like quite a lot. Like the whole Gothic Lolita thing. But I do think that she's very much meant to be like an not Americanized, but like a Western looking character.
Right.
Like blonde, kind of Bo Peep costume.
Yeah.
And like drinking beer, belching.
Right, that's a good way of putting it. That the Bo Peep thing, because it does have that. I think the pink adds that little sort of dab of. I guess I would call it irony to her design, because pink is, pink is an innocent color. It's baby girls, something that's safe.
Yeah.
Kind of like Destroy Man. She's
Playing a part?
Playing a part and also two-faced because of it.
Yeah.
But, like, when she offers Travis a beer, she does that little turnaround, fist on her hip, and then kind of a hip cock thing.
Yeah.
And offers it to him. There's, I don't know, it has like a weird, I don't want to call it a coy quality. I don't quite know how I would describe that. But
I know what you're talking about, though.
Flirty, maybe, though she's not at all a flirty character otherwise.
Like, I was actually just thinking that. Like, upon watching this, like, I'm wondering now if this isn't all just dress up. Like, her comment, about Travis called her a perverted killer, or no, he's like, you're no assassin, you're just a perverted killer. And she's like, they're one and the same. Like, she also mentioned this is a daily grind. I wonder if, in fact, all of this, like, you can't see me, but I'm motioning to the set piece they're fighting in. I wonder if all of that is just a daily grind. If, like, all of this outward stuff isn't at all reflective of Bad Girl as a person, and, like, this is just dress up, and that's the part she's playing.
So that everything in this setting is dress up, or play acting?
That on her part. I'm sure for the Gimps it's real.
Yeah.
They're dying.
Based off what I'm seeing in that pit of viscera, I would say yes.
Yeah. But for Bad Girl, like, batting the imps isn't. I said imps and also hiccuped. Two strikes. But yeah, for Bad Girl, batting those skimps isn't like anything she gets enjoyment out of. Maybe it is just a daily grind. Like, maybe this is her thing, like, her job or whatever. She dresses up in that Bo Peep costume, comes to this, like, home deco place under the arena, and just wails on these dudes.
She does have that sort of like, going home after a hard day's work kind of feeling.
9 to 5. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. But then there's this one moment during that first cutscene when you're introduced to her, and she just kind of like takes this full 360 swing, and there's this look of just sort of, I want to call it a vacant joy.
Yeah.
In her face that, like, she just really liked caving that dude's nose into his brain.
Yeah. I think vacant joy is a great way to describe it. Like, her eyes in particular, like, heavily shadowed underneath wide, very thin pupils, like, constricted. Like, it is not a face of someone at rest or at peace. Like, it's a very agitated face. I love the sound effects in this game. They're all just like, they provide really good cues for actions, and they are also very satisfying.
They are.
Like, they're very visceral, but like the emphasis and just how much Travis is enjoying the counter, just the yeah, like that part with the really nice like whing noise that you get from the succeeding the counter.
Oh, you mean like when you do the sword clash thing? And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's all just really, really satisfying to play and like do well at. That's always something. What's the word for it? I don't know what the word for it is, but I'm gonna call it feedback.
That is exactly the word I was thinking of.
Yeah, like this game has a lot of really, really good audio feedback. that lends like emphasis to what you're doing. Like Travis's sword swings in particular, like right there, he's like really getting into it, and you can hear the saber impacting the enemy, and that's like exceptionally satisfying, especially when paired with the I think you mentioned it in one of the earlier videos, but like the saber kind of pauses briefly.
Yeah, when you when Travis's sword makes contact, there's this very brief pause where instead of just like going through the enemy character model, it stops, and then it's like it's as though the sword continued going, but visually it stopped at that one point and then just picks back up like a few skips later. I like how they kind of got that Star Wars Bumblebee sound.
That one. Yeah.
Speaking of feedback, I also really like when Travis connects with one of the gimps that Bad Girl sends and he's about to reflect it. That combination of like the entire world freezing while you make that impact, except I think for the gimp guy who's just kind of like spinning.
Oh! Yeah.
That has got to be like the most confusing experience for somebody in that situation.
Totally blind, just suddenly accelerates. You know, I actually don't know if they're conscious for that.
I think
coming to think about it.
I think probably the only thing they would be thinking about is I was promised a quick death. Although they are surprisingly able to locate Travis and find him. So
must be echolocation.
I think that you are onto something with that. I think they are the bat hybrids of this world, or dolphins, but bats are a little grosser. So let's give them that.
Did you say bats are gross? Is that
grosser?
Grosser
than dolphins.
Okay.
Dolphins are like the puppies of the sea.
I personally hate dolphins because they are thinking. They can think.
They can think, but they
are
think
capable of evil.
But that's actually what makes them superior. They're capable of it, but they don't perform it.
Okay. I'll agree that they're superior, but I think that bats are cuter, but dolphins are superior. I'll give that to you.
I remember I went swimming with some dolphins in a river, and
really?
Yeah. There's this.
You're biased then.
I am slightly biased. On the other hand, I have screamed at bats, so. And if bats communicate by echolocation, that's kind of the same thing as sharing an element with dolphins.
Screamed at bats or screamed because of bats?
I screamed both, actually.
Okay.
I was running Spotlight for an opera company for a few months, and when you get way up high up there on the catwalks, you find a lot of bats up there. You find a lot of bats up there, and they find you, and sometimes they fly into your spotlight, and you have to kind of step over and like, okay, this one's got a bat in it.
Oh, geez, call off the opera.
Or at least try to harmonize your screams with what's going on stage. Yeah. That's also, incidentally, how opera singers find their way around echolocation.
Echolocation, that makes sense.
That's why they can't stop singing.
People think that that opera is actually some sort of musical form. In fact, it's just a play, and they're finding their way around stage.
That's right. In order for an opera, you just like open the back door near an opera near an opera colony, and just wait to see who comes in. It's really in terms of whether you're going to get good talent.
An opera colony?
Yeah, an opera colony. You know, kind of like an ant colony, except louder. What do you think about the music track to this fight?
It strikes me as something that would be playing in a dimly lit, heavily scented of BO, like music blaring, flooded with people kind of dance floor, lights flashing, like it's club music, I guess.
Yeah.
It's heavy, it's repetitive, it's easy to like trance into, I guess.
Right. Because I know that I feel like the music in some of the other boss fights the music and some of the other boss fights sort of are characterizing of the boss in some way. I think in particular of like Destroy Man. Destroy Man's music is very...
Isn't it? It's really weird and like clockwork and like ratchety.
Yeah, and that sort of fits like his whole gadget focus. And one of the things that I've noticed when talking to people or reading people like responding to this music is that they found it extremely sexual. And being in the club feeling certainly fits that.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree, and I think that sort of fits into Bad Girl's character. Like just like things that I notice about the music offhand is it has that like like really kind of heavy, brutal, like in your face, hard to ignore brutality of like the constant bass and like the heavy beat, and then in the background, kind of intermittently, it'll have like the vocal. Like the whisper, kind of like, I don't know if it's saying anything.
It's very vaguely baseball-y. It's like something, pass the ball here, now baby, let's go.
Okay.
Fly ball in, something, let's go.
Okay.
And
So
it
yeah,
repeats that over and over again.
yeah, it's a very subtle, whispery, kind of sultry female voice. And then something I actually thought was interesting is just like the scream, just the that it does. Like, so that's the part that interests me the most, where it's like it's got the heavy part, the whisper part, and then that it's broken up by that like kind of, I don't know, I don't want to call it like raging or anything, but just a scream.
Yeah, there's something kind of very... I think it sounds like there's something kind of primal to it. I don't know. Going with the quasi-pornographic feeling that a lot of this fight can have at certain points, it has that sort of vague pleasure, pain, ambiguity.
Yeah. Like, I think both works. Yeah.
There's also... going back to what you said about the whisper and the scream, though, those are also dynamically opposing sounds. One being like something you would do very close to somebody, the whispering, and the other one being something you do very far away. It's an aggressive, sort of threatening sound, I guess.
Yeah, it's also like kind of still on that noise part. Just a thought again, but whispering can be a very private thing, but so can screaming. Sometimes you just want to scream when you're alone.
Yeah, no, ironically, yeah. Sometimes being alone can be the most comfortable time to be loud.
Yep.
This setting, this slice of Americana that the game looks at, it's always really cool, I think, to see that integrated with Travis's anime-themed inner world.
Yeah, especially considering how anchored in anime he is at the start with that poster, especially.
Oh God, that poster.
Olay!
When did you first learn about? I know this might be equivalent to like finding out like. I don't know. When did you first vandalize public property? When did you first learn about moe?
It took a long time. The first time I learned about it was actually, I used to watch, and still do watch, subbed anime. But whenever I was younger, I was watching a show, and I'd heard the word tossed around here and there, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, I was around whenever it saw its rise in use in the West.
Right.
And it was just starting to gain popularity, and I was like, what? I don't understand. And I was also pretty young at the time. And the first use I ever remember, putting it together was whenever a character shouted Moyero or something like that, and I was like, wait. That means burn. That means hot. Whoa! And I'm like, wait, that's what it means? Huh. So, yeah. I learned about it in a battle anime.
There's actually a scene in Sega Gaga, this game about Japanese game development, where you're challenged to make the most moe game you can. Your player character has to start out dumb, in order to educate the audience by asking other characters, like, what's moe? So he pipes up in the middle of a conversation about moe and says, does this mean that we have to get fired up over making a game, or that the game's gotta be hot and on fire? And someone explains to him the otaku meaning of the word, says I think it means something more like a bud or a green shoot than burning, if I recall. But that was when it was just like only current in Japan, I think, and not around the time you're talking about being exposed to it or it coming into currency in the US or the West.
This was actually a year to 3 after Travis did his thing, and I was like, I don't get it.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah. Like, at that point, I still understood it as, like, a word used by anime people, and I was like,
Right.
all right.
Huh. But yeah, it's interesting. Something that's moe is always a lesser person or object, and Travis takes this opponent who could have some moe trappings in her dress, and he talks down to her at the end when he calls her a naughty girl.
There's something I'd like to point out there. That's an interesting distinction. I don't know if there's any meaning to it. He said naughty girls need spankings, and then she's like, no, maybe you forgot. I'm a bad girl.
Huh.
I don't know.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I don't know if there's anything to that, though.
I mean, the word naughty girl, it's a condescending term. It's also...
It has a sexual, like, connotation to it. Like, it is a very, it's a bedroom word.
Yeah, exactly. It implies playful punishment with a sexual edge to it. But she says, no, I'm a bad girl, which means that she is not going to be punished, that she's going to resist that, and she is going to break your face.
She's going to beat you to death with a baseball bat. That's okay. That's really interesting.
That is a conversational back and forth that I actually never paid attention to. That's really interesting.
I also feel like kind of building on that, like building on the resisting punishment thing. Naughty has that, aside from that one Courage the Cowardly Dog episode, it has a very, like, sexual connotation. Bad, though, like that, well, that implies a pit of viscera. Like that, like there's no two ways about bad. There is, like, it is completely stripped of that that double meaning.
I love this part of the game is kind of breaking down a little bit. Part of the way this game's sort of narrative development goes is it sets up this structure of anticipation, of regularity, of, you have these fights, they happen in this pattern, Sylvia shows up at the end. But as things slowly move along toward the end, everything kind of breaks down. Sylvia disappears, you have less contact with other people. And even something like, the pigeon flying in through the window, that's one more step removed from direct communication with her. You're not even getting a phone call anymore.
That's interesting.
But and there at the very end, I mean, it's like Travis acknowledges defeat in almost in two separate instances there, because he says, "All right, I give up, you win." And then he also falls on the ground. He's like, "Oh, that was close." And then he actually collapses.
Yeah. Huh.
That is all, like, the ending of that particular fight has always struck me as this, it's almost like this really despairing moment in the whole game, because it's like, even at the end of a close victory, he doesn't have his cocky swagger.
His usual, like, his usual crooked smile.
Yes, exactly. It's just a crooked body on the ground.
Yep.
Passed out.
Bludgeoned with a bat, dented. Yeah, huh. That's interesting. I'd never really put that together. Granted, it's been a long time since I played the game, but I'd never really put that together about No More Heroes, that Travis definitively lost that fight.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the end of our Rank 2 fight against Bad Girl. Thank you, Faust, for joining us. Everyone check out Thrilling Intent, again, linked in the video description, along with the Dungeoneers on Audible.
Yes, thank you very much for having me along. It was a thrill.
Good, because we're going to see you again, along with Jay, during the Henry fight.
Well, I look forward to it.
Thanks for watching, everyone.